I just made it through 90% of that video. Oh gosh. My camera shut off, and I'm pretty sure it was because I never hit record. I'm kind of famous in my personal life for saying, well, you win some, you lose some. And that is possibly the most accurate application of that saying. It is 67 degrees outside. I should be outside. Hey guys, what's up? It's Heather with the Moscow, and today we've done it again. We've made some impulse purchases on the seed website. So this is going to be our 2026 Baker's Creek seed order. Now, hear me out. I was very intentional about what I bought. I bought things that I knew I was going to grow or that I was out of, that I've grown before. I did not willy-nilly go buy every single seed packet that looked interesting. Sorry for the background today. We are up here in my bedroom. I clearly spend my money on my garden and not decorating my house. But if you are new here, my name is Heather and this is the Moscow. And on this channel, we are learning to garden together and trying things out even when conditions aren't perfect. I live in East Tennessee. I garden in Zone 7B. And it is beautiful outside and I should be out there. That's what I should be doing. But I'm in here. And we are going to go through my 2026 Baker's Creek seed order. Now, I love Baker's Creek. They have, I feel like, the largest selection of unique varieties, and I do have one of those coming to you today. Probably something that most of you haven't grown, so I'm excited to share that with you. But I wanted to go through my seed order, and we'll talk a little bit about why I bought what I bought. So I kept it pretty minimal this year. That's saying something for me. And I've got basically 2 stacks. I've got, well, a couple cut flowers, some wild cards, my unique variety. But we're going to start with the cool season crops. I like to grow cool season crops. And again, I want to be more intentional this year with using my garden for all the seasons that are available to us. So the first thing that I got was more spinach. One of my kids is really into spinach right now, and so we're going to grow it. You can put it in salads. You can cook it. It's great. It's really easy. Direct sow. Do one of these sprinkle numbers in a line. Keep it watered, and it'll grow for you. It does like cool weather, so we will start our cool weather seeds probably about middle of March. I usually like to start a little earlier than that, but you know, that's how my life is working out. But this is just a regular variety. Heat will cause these to bolt, so we may try it again in the shade in the summer, but we're going to have that for an early season crop. The next one that we're going to do for a spring crop, and we'll probably redo these again in the fall because the cool season crops you can redo again in the fall. Now, for years, I feel like everybody's been on the train of this particular type of green, and I have only recently started liking it. Like before, I was like, I don't really like that flavor, but now I'm starting to like it. And as a general rule, I do try to eat fairly healthy and a fairly calorie restrictive diet of like 500 to 600 calories per meal. And a great way to do that is salads. So a lot of greens, and they're expensive and they go bad pretty quick. So, you know, being able to grow them in the backyard. There are 2 ways that I like to grow my greens. I like to grow them as like cut and come again. And then I also do like to do some lettuce that heads up. So we're trying arugula. I've never grown arugula. But again, I've only started recently really been getting into this flavor. I'm really excited to try it mixed in my salads, maybe with a little spinach, maybe with a little lettuce. But it is a cool season crop as well, or it says succession plant for continued harvest. Summer plantings can be located in part shade to avoid bolting. 50 days to maturity. I'm really excited about this one. It's going to be good. The next one is lettuce. Now, I've got this mix of lettuce. and I'm very excited about it. I love a colorful lettuce mix. It just hits me in all the right places. But I will do this 2 separate ways. I will sow thick bands for a cut and come again baby leaf type situation, and I will set some out spaced so that I can get lettuce that heads up. But this is another spring and fall crop, or we can try to put this. So we've got this lettuce blend, and again, colorful lettuce, very excited about it. We do eat a lot of salads around here, so very excited about that one. The last one in the cool season crop thing. My husband really loves beets, and I think I'm out of beet seeds. I'm not as diligent about growing them the last couple years. That goes back to I tried to set and forget all of my drip tubing, and so I would plant stuff out, but then I would never make sure it was getting watered. And seeds have to stay moist once you to germinate. So we're going to work on that. But these are my favorite beet variety, I find. I love when you cut into them, they do look like that. They are really, really beautiful. When you cook them, unfortunately, they don't keep that color. I like to roast mine at like 425, a little bit of olive oil, salt, and pepper. But they do look really pretty when you're cutting into them, and it's very, very satisfying. So we're going to grow these again as a cool season crop. We'll probably plant them at the beginning of March. So one of the things, too, it is a root vegetable, so I need to make sure it's growing somewhere where the soil is nice and fluffy and moist. So these will probably go in a raised bed. Nice, fluffy, moist soil so that they have plenty of room to create the root that we're going to eat. But adding a lot of organic matter. I will actually probably stir up some of I put straw on my beds last year to keep from weeds. I'll probably stir it up into there. That'll keep it nice and loose. The next 2 things are kind of a wild card item. When you order from Baker's Creek, a lot of times you order so many packets of seed, they'll send you some free seed. And this is the free seed they sent me, and this is probably the one I've been most excited that they sent me. But this is the Alice Dream tomato. It's an 80-day indeterminate tomato, beefsteak tomato, start indoors. You need to start these indoors. 2 of the things that I will start indoors this year would be tomatoes and eggplants. Those are really the only 2 things that I'm really going to commit to starting indoors. I'm going to do it in my aero garden, so it's easy to keep up on the watering. But we will probably try these. I love a good yellowish red tomato, and this looks pretty good. The next thing that's kind of a wild card for us is going to be these nasturtiums. This is a brightly colored nasturtium. And I've talked about before, I really like brightly colored, bold colors in my garden, but I also like them in my cut flower bouquets. So when I order for cut flowers this year, I'm going to keep it to dahlias, zinnias, sunflowers, and just a handful of other things. So I can use these nasturtiums as cut flowers. I will soak the seeds before I plant them, but the primary use that I wanted to have for them is I talked about I don't want to leave any soil uncovered in my vegetable garden. So I think underneath my tomatoes, it would be really nice to have some nasturtiums and marigolds, hopefully to deter some pests for pest management, but also just to make it really pretty and aesthetic and to keep those weeds down. So I'm going to plant these here. They are heavy reseeders. I'm aware of that. I'm okay with that. I don't mind if stuff reseeds. It doesn't really bother me. But I'm really excited about these. It's called the Phoenix nasturtium. I find that nasturtium plants, their leaves are really pretty. You could probably use the greenery too in arrangements, but they just look really pretty and they're all mounded up. And I think it's going to help us with that. Again, I'm going to soak those seeds before I plant them. The next 3 that I'm going to talk about are going to be cut flowers. The first one is going to be no surprise, zinnias. So this is the Benary's giant, or Benary's, I don't know how you say that, deep red zinnia. Now I will order the mix from Johnny's, but I really love these deep red colors. Again, saturated deep colors. I only grow the Benary's giant ones nowadays. I feel like the other ones are just too small and not impactful enough maybe for me to be growing, so I only grow the Benary's giant. One of the things that I have struggled with in the past is staking my zinnias. I have to stake everything. Again, my production garden is borderline getting enough sun to be productive. And so everything has to get staked because everything starts to grow really tall, and it's got to get staked. So the first 2 rows of my production garden, I do have like a permanent staking system in place of T-posts and then cattle fencing. And I think I need to do that for more so I can just latch stuff to that as we go. But I may, instead of like individually latching up my zinnias, run a string. I might try the Florida weave method. We will see. That might be the way to go. I want to have the zinnias that like you see other gardeners where they just grow and they're beautiful and it's just like this bush of zinnias. But that's just not how it happens for me. If I leave them to their own devices, we're going to get a rainstorm and they are going to be on the ground because I have tried that. I have tried planting them in a block. Corralling them in, I thought that would be a good thing, like corralling them in, and I might try that again. Maybe I didn't have enough string, but I feel like the string just gets like loose. I've done the netting. The netting works okay. Could probably do the netting again, but we got to find a way to start staking our zinnias better. The next 2 are kind of like my little wild card purchases. So I got these asters. Bright pink, so I'm really excited about that. I really like the kind of cactusy, frilly nature of the petals. Probably should start these inside, but I will just sow them in place. Requires full sun and rich soil, so we'll see how that goes. But I just thought these would be really fun to try. I've never tried asters before, and I thought they'd be really fun to try. Then we've got this porcupine orange calendula. Now, I know these are very sticky, and I know they're heavy reseeders. I'm torn between the idea of putting them in the cut flower garden or putting them in a pot next to my production garden, but I thought these would be fun to see how they do for me as a cut flower. Again, bright orange. I think these would be really fun with the other things that I've picked out to grow for cut flowers. I did order some dahlia tubers today, so when those come in, we'll do a haul of that as well. But again, just bright, cheerful, sunny. I think they do attract aphids and maybe can form as a host plant. So I'm not going to be really upset if I don't get like really good cut flowers, but if they can help me with maybe some pest control, that would also be a benefit. But just aesthetically in the production garden, have something pretty to look at. I enjoy the production garden when it's just, I like it when there's some aesthetic things in there as well, but I enjoy the green lushness of it as well. Like just looking out and seeing green lush plants. I think that's really pretty too. Today's coffee mug is another Disney coffee mug because, again, I am a Disney adult. So if you're wondering what I drink my coffee out of, that's it. So the final seed variety is one that I might be the most excited about, but it's definitely the most unique seed variety. Several years ago, we went to a restaurant, and with their bread, they had sorghum butter. And I've looked up sorghum before, and I've bought sorghum syrup and made my own sorghum butter before. It is a sweetener, and it's pretty delicious. And I do think it's like a classic, more classically Southern. I don't think it started here in the South, but I do think that a lot of people were growing it in the South. I might be wrong about that, but you grow it in like these canes, and it has, you can use the seed pods or the seed heads for something else, but you cut up the canes and then you boil it and you get basically a sweetener. So I got some sorghum seeds. This is the honey drip sorghum. I am fairly excited about this. I want to make some sorghum syrup and see how that goes. It's very sweet, but it also has like a different flavor to it. So it's definitely a fun, we'll see how it goes. I thought I would intermix it like a couple feet in between all of my dahlias and on the fence line that gets the tomatoes, because it's going to need to be latched to something, and it's going to need that full sun. But I don't think we're going to need to have a massive number of plants in order to get some sorghum syrup. But I'm really excited about growing this one. So it says direct sow into the garden well after the last spring frost when weather has really warmed. So we'll probably wait till May. Requires only average soil and moisture, takes heat and drought. So it says makes sweet, delicious syrup, a very old sweet variety, 8 to 10 foot stalks. Crush them for the juice, which is boiled down into a large metal pan, becomes sorghum syrup. But this is a leading variety in the South. So I'm very, very excited about this one. So that is all I have bought. I've done much better this time about being controlled and buying things that I want to be intentional about. I do at this point have a pretty large seed stash, so I have plenty of sunflower seeds. If I was growing green beans, I have plenty of those. I've got tomato seeds, eggplant seeds for days, squash seeds for days. I do plan on growing all those things in my garden this year. I just already have the seeds for those. So I stuck to only what I needed and what I had plans to actually grow and maintain and what fit into my lifestyle for how I can do it. You'll notice that there's not very much in here that I'm going to have to start from seed. I don't enjoy that process. I tend to not do very well with it. Hardening off seeds is hard for me. It is worth it to get special varieties of eggplant and tomato, but for everything else, if I can direct sow it, that's always the option I'm going to take. So kind of going back to our last video about things I'm not going to do, I'm not going to start things that I'm not going to be able to keep up with. Most of this is direct sow. So I'm very excited about these. So you guys comment below what you're excited about growing or if you saw something that really piqued your interest. But that's going to be it for me in this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.